In the quiet suburb of Kramer Hill, New Jersey, the morning of September 6, 1949 began like any other. The war had ended 3 years earlier, yet for many, peace still felt like a fragile illusion. The trauma and dread of World War II clung stubbornly to society, and no group understood this better than returning veterans. While some came home visibly wounded, countless others carried invisible scars, mental and emotional ones that no one could see. Among those haunted souls was one particular veteran named Howard. Unlike others who buried their pain, Howard chose a different path, one that would make history in the most horrifying way imaginable. Howard Unruh, a soft-spoken 28-year-old with a promising future ahead, had returned from Europe a changed man. He had survived the battlefield, but the battlefield hadn't left him. It lived inside him, a storm of paranoia, bitterness, and rage. On that quiet September morning, America would come face to face with a hidden cost of war it had never seen before. This is the true account of a soldier who brought the war home. With tragic consequences. Opening narration. A fog of war, step into the mist. A space where reality bends, and what we know becomes uncertain. Inside this fog lie stories that challenge belief and blur the line between fact and folklore. Beyond it, one must decide for themselves what is real and what is madness. This is a journey into the heart of war's most disturbing aftermath. Howard was born in Camden, New Jersey on January 21, 1921, to Samuel Unruh and Frida Woolmer. His childhood appeared fairly ordinary. After his parents separated, he and his younger brother James were raised by their mother, Frida. A devout Christian, she brought her boys up in the faith, with regular church attendance as a teenager. Howard buried himself in books and hobbies like stamp collecting and building model trains. Quiet and introverted, he was described as polite and intelligent, if socially awkward. High school peers called him Howie, and he was well liked by many. But behind that unremarkable exterior, there were troubling signs. Howard had developmental delays as a child. He didn't walk or talk until nearly a year and a half old. As he grew, he showed unpredictable mood swings, shifting quickly from calm to agitated. These early behaviors, though not alarming in isolation, hinted at a deeper issue that would grow with time. In adolescence, Howard struggled with confusing and disturbing thoughts, especially regarding his own mother. These feelings tormented him with guilt and shame. Meanwhile, his resentment toward his younger brother simmered in silence. Though outwardly obedient and soft-spoken, his mind was a battlefield long before he ever set foot in Europe. Howard graduated in 1939, the same year the world teetered on the brink of another global conflict. With Hitler's invasion of Poland, World War II erupted across Europe. America stayed out of it until the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941. Fueled by patriotism, or perhaps the desire for escape, Howard enlisted in October 1942. He trained and was assigned to the 342nd Armored Field Artillery, operating machine guns on mobile artillery units. In late 1944, his unit was deployed to Europe. Soon, they were thrust into the brutal Battle of the Bulge, Germany's desperate counteroffensive. Though Howard was technically behind the front lines, he frequently faced direct combat, defending artillery positions with a rifle. He performed with uncanny focus and efficiency, earning a reputation for his mechanical precision and expert marksmanship. But his fellow soldiers noticed something unsettling. Howard was always scribbling in a private journal. When they peeked inside one day, what they found disturbed even hardened men. A meticulously detailed list of every enemy soldier Howard had personally killed, complete with names, dates, descriptions, and morbid commentary about the condition of their bodies. Howard didn't just follow orders. He seemed to relish the act of killing. Germany surrendered in May 1945. Howard returned to America in July with an honorable discharge and a Good Conduct Medal. But peace didn't feel like peace. The disciplined structure of Army life was gone. Friends he fought beside were now scattered across the country. And Howard, who had embraced the war with unnerving focus, suddenly had nothing. He drifted from job to job, unable to hold steady employment. He enrolled briefly in pharmacy school at Temple University, but quit after just one semester. By age 28, He was unemployed and living with his mother in a small apartment above a neighborhood pharmacy in Camden. Howard became reclusive. He would attend church multiple times a day and obsessively maintain a shooting range in their basement. He began harboring growing resentment toward his neighbors, particularly Maurice and Rose Cohen, the couple who owned the pharmacy downstairs and also served as their landlords. Small disputes, like requests to lower his music volume or complaints about him trespassing through their yard, festered into deep hatred. Howard was convinced the neighbors were gossiping about him, calling him slurs, and plotting against him. And there was some truth beneath the paranoia. Howard was a closeted gay man living in 1940s America, where homosexuality was not only taboo, but criminalized. He was torn between faith, repression, and his own identity. These inner conflicts, coupled with untreated trauma, pushed him toward the edge. On September 5, 1949, Howard visited Philadelphia to meet a man with whom he had been having a secret relationship. They had planned to meet at a movie theater, but traffic delays caused Howard to arrive late. His partner never showed. Feeling rejected and humiliated, Howard returned home early the next morning. When he arrived, he discovered someone had removed the backyard gate he had just installed. This gate, symbolic of his last sense of control and security, had been destroyed. To Howard, this wasn't just vandalism. It was war. Around 8 a.m. on September 6th, Frida Unruh was in the kitchen cleaning dishes when she felt someone behind her. She turned to see her son, expression blank, eyes locked, holding a heavy wrench. Howard raised it, but hesitated. Frida, recognizing the danger, fled the apartment in terror. As she told a neighbor what had happened, gunshots rang out. Behind her, Howard had armed himself with a German Luger pistol, extra ammunition, and a tear gas bomb. In his mind, he was back in combat. The neighbors were enemies. He began moving methodically through the neighborhood. First, he entered a shoe repair shop and killed the cobbler, John Pilarchik. Then, he walked into a barber shop where Clark Hoover was giving a haircut to a 6-year-old boy. Clark shielded the child, but both were killed. Howard continued his rampage, firing at random into buildings, pedestrians, and cars. He entered the pharmacy owned by the Cohens and shot multiple members of the family, including Rose and Maurice. Their 12-year-old son survived only because he had hidden inside a closet. In just 20 minutes, Howard killed 13 people and injured 3 more. As police closed in, journalists scrambled for the story. One enterprising reporter, Philip Buckton, looked up Howard's number and called him during the standoff. To everyone's shock, Howard picked up. "I don't know how many I've killed," he said calmly. "But it's a good number." When asked why he did it, he replied, "I don't know. I'm too busy." Soon after, tear gas was deployed. Howard surrendered quietly, walking out of the smoke without resistance. The crowd had gathered. Some shouted for his execution. But Howard showed no emotion. A police officer asked him, "What's wrong with you? Are you insane?" Howard's reply, "I'm not crazy. I have a good mind." Aftermath and legacy. Howard was never put on trial. Doctors declared him mentally unfit due to paranoid schizophrenia. However, many questioned the diagnosis, as he showed none of the classic symptoms, like hallucinations or delusions. Others believed he suffered from a severe personality disorder, exacerbated by war trauma and repression. He was confined to the Trenton Psychiatric Hospital, where he would spend the rest of his life. He never expressed remorse. Ironically, his last name, Unruh, comes from a Germanic word meaning unrest or trouble. A fitting legacy for a man so tormented by inner war. Howard Unruh died in 2009 at the age of 88. In an interview near the end of his life, he offered one final, bone-chilling remark: "I would have killed 1,000 if I had enough bullets."